Hello, my name is Doan Kim with my fellow group mates Seok Ma and Hyunjung Choi. Our presentation will be on the new rise in the e-commerce trend, of which is dropshipping. We have structured our presentation into 6 following points: rise of e-commerce, industrial analysis, advantages and disadvantages of the business model, a case study for Shopify, and lastly, conclusion. To begin with, e-commerce has transformed the traditional retail paradigm, with forecasted statistics that suggest exponential increase in the global market share. Internet development and proliferation of mobile phones had major contributions in accelerating the phase into digital trade. Rise in social media had given new light on integration of social interactions and e-commerce functionalities, whereby businesses leverage social media channels to facilitate the purchase and sale of products and services directly within the social media environment. Understanding the supply chain is essential in explaining how dropshipping works. To put things simply, there are 3 main aspects in dropshipping: the customer, who buys products of the retailer or the person who owns the dropship store, and the supplier, who are usually the producers of said product who have inventories and transportation economies that allows delivery to the customers. To explain the value chain shown above, the customer buys the product off the dropship retailer, where the transactions are made digitally. Then, the retailer transfers the order details to the supplier, who then sends the product straight to the customer. In this industry, the retailer only acts as a middleman who connects the customers with the suppliers, and unlike traditional commerce, the retailer does not need to hold any inventory for items to sell. Instead, the supplier is the one who directly sends their items to the customer. Through this, we can already see that there are clear differences between traditional retail and dropshipping. The main differences are shown in difference in capital, accessibility, and management. First of all, dropshipping requires very little capital, as the retailer does not need inventory space to store goods to sell. This differs with traditional retail, where retailers have overhead costs for stocking inventory, paying wages, and other production costs. Also, the target customer base is essentially unbounded. A dropshipper only needs to be able to digitally contact and negotiate with overseas wholesale or small-scale supplier via email or internet messenger, which theoretically expands the target audience to be global and international. Traditional retail, on the other hand, is met with limitations in where to sell and who to sell due to geographical barriers, and sometimes even only limited to physical customers who can only purchase goods physically in retail stores. Lastly, intractable management is an obvious flaw in dropshipping, where the store owner has no control on the quality of its products. In contrast, traditional retail are able to directly manage its products and packaging. And to lastly provide an industrial analysis of dropshipping, the following graph shows the previous and forecasted dropshipping market size in billions United States dollars from 2020 to 2026. The global dropshipping market size was valued at $196.78 billion US dollars in 2022, and is actually projected to grow even further at a compound annual growth rate of 27.7% from 2023 to 2030.
There are definite advantages and disadvantages in dropshipping. Firstly, the barriers to entry are very low for the average dropshipper. This is due to low capital costs through very minimal startup costs. There is no need for inventory storage and transportation costs. The fact that economies of scale does not exist at all for the dropshipper means that there are no input costs that the dropshipper needs to deal with. All that is needed is a laptop and an email to start a dropshipping business. Also, it is very quick to set up a dropship store, which excludes all complicated logistics behind creating a retail, in this case, online retail store. The dropshipping business is also very scalable. The size of the business solely depends on how many factories or manufacturers the dropshipper have ongoing deals with. The more suppliers, the bigger the business. And as mentioned previously, because capital costs are negligible for the dropshipper, the number of products that can be provided can be easily increased and is not limited by physical constraints such as inventory. This directly leads to higher flexibility, as physical presence of the dropshipper is not needed as the middleman. Because the dropshipper does not need to take part in the manufacturing and transportation process, they can work anywhere, anytime. For the manufacturers and factories, having a dropshipper as a middleman allows for a reduction of advertisement and information costs to get their products out to consumers, and therefore can redirect all resources into solely making and shipping their products. Lastly, dropshipping allows the access into global markets. As mentioned previously, because of the flexible nature of dropshipping, selling products globally without the need of physically being present in a specific country is possible. And dropshippers can cherry pick dropshipping platforms that allow aid global shipping. While there are advantages, there are also disadvantages to dropshipping. Firstly, profit margins can be low. One reason for this phenomenon is because the per unit cost of the supplier goods have no option but to be higher than traditional retail prices, which usually buy the supplier's goods in bulk. Another reason is because naturally, due to low barriers of entry, literally anyone can enter the dropshipping industry. With the barriers to entry being so low, many competitors can enter the industry, which leads to dropshippers engaging in price competition. If the suppliers cannot reduce cost of production in order to lower selling price, then dropshippers' profit margins will have to be reduced to be price competitive. Therefore, dropshippers will have to work to increase the perceived benefit of consumers by creating standout marketing strategies to compete against others in the industry. Another disadvantage to dropshipping is that dropshippers do not directly engage in the production of the goods that they are selling, and therefore must be heavily dependent on suppliers. This means that if there are faulty goods made by manufacturers, the suppliers are unable to complete timely deliveries, or in the worst case, run out of stock. The dropshipper has to take full responsibility for said mishap. Lastly, it is impossible to create a brand image because products sold are not the dropshipper's goods but the manufacturer's. Items being sent out to customers will only include the branding of the manufacturers, and therefore, specialized branding to associate the product with the dropshipper is impossible. Without a clear brand image, a long term, sustainable business through repeated purchases may be in jeopardy.
Now we will move on to a case study focusing on the digital platform provider called Shopify and how it enables individuals and businesses to utilize e-commerce to not only create and manage online stores, but to take advantage of the dropshipping mechanism. Shopify is well suited for dropshipping businesses and provides several features and integrations. One of the notable features is easy product management. Shopify allows merchants to easily import products from suppliers and manage their inventory conveniently. Through the app De-essers, provided by Shopify, merchants can connect to thousands of suppliers and simply find and add products to their online store with just a few clicks. Shopify also fulfills automated order. When a customer places an order on a merchant's online store, Shopify streamlines the process by automatically syncing orders, tracking inventory levels, and updating customers on shipping status. Other notable functions that are provided by Shopify include customizable store design, third-party apps, and integration that assists in marketing, sales, analytics, and SEO optimization. Not only does this help individuals and businesses to attract more buyers and expand their reach compared to traditional retail, it allows SMEs to compete in a competitive market and levels the playing field by reducing barriers to work against them. Studies show that more and more businesses are utilizing Shopify's innovative digital technology as the numbers continue to trend upward. Currently, over 4.39 million e-commerce sites are linked to Shopify in over 175 countries, while 63% of stores are based in the US alone. Shopify has generated over $700 billion in sales during its 17 years of operation, and as depicted by the graph below, the gross merchandise volume reached $41.8 billion in 2021 quarter 3 and drastically increased to a whopping $197.2 billion in 2022. Moreover, Shopify's annual revenue for 2022 was $5.6 billion, about a 22% increase from 2021, and for quarter 1 of 2023, continues to see an increase of about 25% year over year at a valuation of $1.51 billion. To conclude, according to the latest data, the global dropshipping market is forecast to reach $243.42 billion in 2023, and experts predict that by 2026, the market will likely hit an estimated $476.1 billion, with an average annual growth rate of 24.39% starting from 2020 all the way up to 2026. Analysts credit the dropshipping market size's significant growth to consumers' shift towards online shopping, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic that forced traditional stores to close while consumers stayed home. Furthermore, the rise of mobile commerce and increasing smartphone penetration globally will also play a role in dropshipping services. Although the growth rate has slowed down post-COVID-19, we believe that due to low startup cost and inventory-free setup features dropshipping provides, Along with digital platforms such as Shopify making it increasingly easier to generate profits for sellers, the dropshipping market will continue to grow in the foreseeable future. These are our references, and thank you for listening.